Get to know all your favorite VRChat DJs all in one place. This is VRCDJLIVE.
Another Thursday, and we're back at it again here on the program, and wouldn't you know it, as we continue on going into springtime, there's going to be a lot of little things about our community that are either going to start showing up, or we're going to have to start talking about, because as we've already know, that it's kind of like the same timeline going from the beginning of the year to the end of the year when it comes to either people doing spring break or summer vacation, or when the fall season comes around, or even getting into the winter time. We start to see a lot of repetition when it comes to new DJs, club events, and even getting focused on lots of various holidays going on. So this is why we have this program, so we can sit here and kind of chat about all these things. So welcome on in to VRC DJ Live. I'm Rob Roman, your host, and if you're brand new here to the program, we talk about everything that's going on in the VR chat communities, whether you are a beginner DJ or you're a seasoned DJ and you're looking for more tips and tricks, or even bookings, or maybe you want to start a club or a group, or maybe you're interested in joining a group and you want to get some more bookings and stuff like that, all the way down to like VJs and dancers and promotions and even talking to the members of our community. It's all super important to the process of being able to do what we do here and being very passionate about it. And of course, it's a live program. You'll probably hear me talking about it for many, many times throughout the show. So feel free that if you're watching on Twitch, that you can engage with our guests here today, ask them as many questions as you choose, as well as, let's just say there's a topic that we're talking about. You're definitely going to want to have them answer some of those questions. So welcome on in. Glad to have you. And of course, our guest today is a group featuring underground and grunge on the outside, mixed with a sort of modern vibe inside the club, focused in on an 18-plus community, listening to hard groove, techno, drum and bass, and more, and featuring over 2,200 members in their community and growing. Please welcome to the VRC DJ Live studios, Toxictrate and Oxide of Pulse. Guys, glad to have you finally here on the program. I feel like you guys are just constantly party goers, and we're just, we know of Pulse, and we want to feel the pulse. Is that the actual technical term, to feel the pulse?
Feel the pulse? Yeah.
What would feeling the pulse kind of entail, especially with the style of music that you guys produce?
Definitely the pulse of the music is like, especially with like techno and stuff like that, you definitely feel the pulse.
Is it a vibe or is it a pulse? Because like I feel like a pulse, it's just like it's more like a heartbeat or anything like that. But the vibe, it's just like you're constantly riding this wave.
It's definitely a vibe.
Yeah. Is that what you end up getting to, Oxide, when you're attending Pulse events?
Absolutely. It's definitely a pulse of energy.
Pulse of energy. Well, I'm really glad to have you guys finally here on the program, and we definitely have a lot of different things to talk about on the stream today, especially when it comes to understanding club management. I know earlier on, before we even started the program, we were talking a little bit about spring cleaning, and we've been seeing a lot of new people in the scene coming in and exploring, and I'm sure it's on you guys as well that you've seen a lot of people come in and just they're like, I don't know where to find these groups. We don't know how to find these clubs or these venues or even styles of genre and stuff like that. Talk to us a little bit about that before we get started on some of the experiences that you've come across with some of these newer people that come to Pulse.
I mean, we love seeing new people coming in all the time. It's definitely exciting to hear people coming in saying, this is my first ever VRChat rave event. And it just makes me feel so excited to see that people have Pulse as their first ever club event that they've ever been to. Make friends with a lot of them, introduce them to a lot of other clubs, a few of the homies and stuff like that. And then you can introduce them to the timeline as well, which is, it's been around for years. The timeline it's always been around. So it's like, it's the main direction you really point people to introducing new people.
What about you, Oxide? How are you kind of, because I would assume that also being on staff that you're at a lot of these events and you're meeting new people and getting to know, because I feel like even though it is still March and there's still new people coming into the scene, a lot of people are wanting to like join into like a family style environment or want to get to know more people that enjoy this style of music. So what kind of a takeaway have you been seeing from some of the new people coming in too?
I see a lot of curiosity from new people, whether it be DJs or just like regular people that are trying to party. So I either point them to the timeline as well, or I point them to other clubs that they may enjoy. Like, try to give them like a path to like all of the circle of groups that are related to each other in the rave scene in VR chat. So like Pulse, Rave Factory, Contain, those group of groups that are together kind of that do pretty similar events. So I try to get them like acquainted with all of those.
It's been an interesting process to hear, and I feel like a lot of people are still kind of hesitant to that idea of everything seems to be working out, right? When we're going to be talking a lot about Rave Factory and how you guys work together a lot and collaboration, and you find that a lot of the homies from Pulse and Contain and Rave Factory again, this weird little triangular thing going on, non-Illuminati kind of thing, but like like the chocolate milk Illuminati, right? Couldn't we just say it like that? I feel like we're going to be talking about
Yeah.
flavored milk at some point in
Yeah,
time.
that's fire.
I'm not saying that's something you can print it on a shirt, I'll wear it. But like a lot of new people, again, we're still fighting up against the YouTube algorithm of people making these videos about our scene, and there are a lot of naysayers on the internet literally saying like, oh, there's so much degeneracy in VR chat and the rave scene, and they're doing lots of drugs, they're doing lots of alcohol and narcotics and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, I mean, you do you, but at the same time, you know, you're enjoying a very passionate event with some very passionate people. So how is it, how are you guys kind of combating all of that? Again, are you finding that more people are more receptive to the idea of coming in comparable to you know, debunking myths?
It's definitely it's definitely the first thing like people see on YouTube is definitely like the trolling videos. It's been basically like the main sort of feed. And then there'd be a few videos from a couple of years ago of like I think Straz did one, there was Resident Advisor, and there was PBS Voices that did the whole like little deep dive into the rave scene and stuff like that. And a lot of people, you know, they don't really know how it is until they actually come experience it themselves. Because, you know, looking at it from like a 2D perspective on your TV or your phone or something like that doesn't really justify how good it is if you actually go in and try it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of people can come and the only information that they have is just the trolling videos, which can be funny, but like sometimes it'll influence what people will do once they get on here. Like, oh, I want to troll too because that looks funny. Or they're so cautious to the point where they're afraid to do anything because they think there's just a bunch of bullies running around. So it's kind of tricky trying to navigate that because I feel like a lot of people still that are new to VR chat still don't really know about the rave scene and how nice people can be within the scene. So it's just trying to find a way for new people to like navigate towards the rave scene if that's where they want to go.
Now, what about the whole idea? And we're going to kind of toss this ball back and forth a little bit because there are some people that, and we might even talk about it later on in the show, but people want that underground feel. And when it comes to ideas like this, I feel like that is kind of the hero's journey when it comes to successes. When it comes to DJing, you know, it's very rare that you'll be like, you're either the prodigy that Skrillex had become, and you're just like, well, Skrillex didn't have all those extra moments, but I feel like that's still part of the step of an underground feel. And after talking to a lot of different people in this community, they would rather to continue to have the underground feel. But when you do have some new people coming in, again, like you were saying, kind of hesitant, from what they've been. It's you go from one style of the internet saying they're like, yeah, they're doing hard drugs in virtual reality, and then the first thing that they go to is like a back alley underground event, and you're like, it's true, like it's everything I heard on the internet is true, and you're just like, no, we're just trying to paint a vibe, like calm down, like you can literally drink your water and hang out with us too, it's no big deal. But how do we continue to shape that narrative that underground needs to continue to happen, and how people will want to keep it around, outside of just building these mecca of venues that with all the lights and stuff?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I feel like part of the fun of the rave scene is like discovering it on your own. Like everyone has their own path to discover things. Like for me personally, I discovered it my own way, and I fell in love with the rave scene in VRChat. So I feel like that's kind of part of the magic, is like discovering it on your own. Um, Obviously, you will probably need help getting through most of it, because it's a pretty big scene and there's like a lot of groups. So I feel like you would definitely eventually need help, but I feel like discovering it on your own is part of the fun too.
I think it's also very helpful the fact that, again, when you have all of the collective, I'm not calling it the collective, but I guess for the idea of the show, we'll call it the collective of Contain and Ray Factory and Pulse, that collectively, I feel like besides the people that are proactive in the community, you're also finding new ways to reinvent how that narrative is shaped, especially on social media, where a lot of people are prone to negative stereotypes and a different type of an idea of what type of music that you bring compared to the edginess that it could potentially ring out as well. And oh, you know what I think it was, that I ended up seeing a video of your collaboration with Rave Factory, and that it was like a night with Rave Factory and Pulse, and the video that was up online, like, I wish I had the energy to listen to the audio because I was at work, but just being able to see the energy and the vibes created just from that video of, you know, the DJs and the people partying and stuff like that. I feel like between the three of you guys, you are building something absolutely amazing. But solo dolo, I feel like each group has a different element to it that brings it all together through a collective. So let's start with the fact that, like, I want to be able to capture Pulse's vibe. And I know we were just talking about underground scene and an underground thing compared to the genre of music that you want to have styled at Pulse. So break down Pulse a little bit from a founder's view of what you wanted compared to what it maybe became in the next couple of years.
We definitely wanted sort of like an underground vibe. We wanted to mix it with like sort of reality and kind of base it off of actual clubs. So our current club is based off of a club that's in the UK, because I'm originally from the UK. It's based off two different clubs. One's an old school garage club, which played a lot of like old school UKG and stuff like that. And then there's another one that's like all techno sort of vibes. That's where we sort of got the vibe of techno and all different sort of techno, and then the drum and bass too and stuff like that, because I'm from the UK, so I love all that kind of music. The way it became, it sort of went down the route we wanted it to be fair. Like all the plans that we had in mind all happened. I had a lot of help from Oxide and stuff like that with map creation from the start. He'd tell me how to do stuff like every day. It'd be like constant of like trying to build a map, and I'd be saying, no, don't do this, do this. And then it's like, we slowly pieced together to what it is today. Oxide was a big help in trying to piece where we are today.
Now, I have noticed a couple of Pulse shows that you guys kind of have a garage or a parking garage effect. I think there was a map that had a parking garage. Is that something you guys own?
That might have been a while ago before we actually had the map created. The parking garage, I think, is Chemistry's venue. That's
Yeah,
the one that we used a while ago before we had Club Pulsate. Before
yeah.
we had it to a point where I was happy with it. So like for the time being while we was building this map, we would hop through like different worlds that are publicly accessible. Because I spent like 5 months making the Pulse map to where it is now, where I actually am happy with it. But during that time, we was like constantly hopping in and out of the venue, testing new features and stuff like that. And then we go back to public accessible maps. It's kind of just backwards and forth until we got to where we are now.
I'm going to kind of, before we get to Oxide on this, because I'm sure that he's got something brewing in his brain about what he wants to talk about the venue. How much more added time and difficulty was it to build something like this on top of doing events?
It's definitely difficult. Many hours. I think for the first like 3 months, I was in Unity like every single day. It takes a while. And getting your map optimized too is like that's a whole nother sort of like lane. It's hard work. It takes a long time to get a decent map. Definitely takes a while. I remember we kept going in and out of that map since September of last year. We was in and out of the map, testing new stuff. Is it optimized? Can we safely run it with 80 people? Is it going to look good? So that's kind of the stuff we kind of had to go through to get it to be good.
And now you're saying that most of the Pulse events are starting to kind of pile up with people coming to the shows. Are you looking to reinvent it, or are you constantly looking to kind of keep it updated to make sure that it's good for everybody?
Yeah, we're updating it for every single event. We're add like new features, or we'll update certain things that we noticed was wrong, because bugs do slip up and errors do slip up and stuff like that, and people will notice them. And that means for the next event, that can be fixed and improved. So we're constantly improving the map and, seeing how more optimized we can get it, and all the bugs that we need to fix up can be fixed for future events.
Oxide, what kind of a struggle has it been for you for helping put together the Pulse map?
I haven't been too involved recently. But like Toxic said, when they were first starting out, it was like I was helping them with a lot of different stuff, just to give them that head start to be able to like build the venues alone. So it was basic stuff like lighting and stuff like that, where I was teaching them. But ever since then, they've been just like going off and doing their own thing and making awesome venues.
See, it's good to hear about all of this too, because from the other side of things, there you got a lot of people that you've got the community, which we got a lot of people in chat right now saying hi. Obviously, they're on a forever war with chalky milk and strawberry milk, and I'm hoping that our producer in the back will try to put together a poll. I know last time we had the Rave Factory on, we did a poll and it was kind of 50-50 and it was weird, or maybe it was a strawberry milk. Now they're saying mango milk, which I'm not entirely sure about.
Mango milk.
Yeah, we'll get there when we do. Hey, listen, it's 2026. It's still early, man. We could still figure something out. But being able to talk about the process of what you guys are going through, and there is a difference between having very limited staff to a very full staff, and being able to push roles on people to be able to make this massive entity. We keep forgetting that in our community, there's a ton of people online searching for what clubs are new, what clubs are cool, where do I find the clubs, how do I find their discords, and I think you guys are taking another initiative step forward by putting together a website and having all the tools necessary to be like, these are the pictures, here's some posters for the events that are coming up, here's the event that's coming up, you should come to it, and kind of talk to some of these people. So all of that is important for the people outside of our community looking on the outside in, maybe seeing some other videos, you guys working with that collective to I keep doing like the Delta sign. I got to stop doing that. I feel like we're going to get ruined by doing that. the collective. Yeah, but it's true. I mean, between the three groups, like I feel you feed off each other's energies, but also help each other by creating more opportunities. Let's just say someone wants a Pulse event or someone wants a Rave Factory event, and being able to identify that and be able to talk amongst them, especially for new people that want to create the clubs and stuff like that. So all of these talks are important, and we have to kind of remind ourselves to bring that back up. Of course, for the people in chat, it is a live program, VRCDJLIVE. It's in the title. It's a live program. It's not pre-recorded unless you're watching on YouTube, which again we air on Thursdays. But this is your opportunity to ask your questions. Maybe preferably anything outside of milk. Forbidden milk, yeah, forbidden milk, yeah, outside of milk. I mean, the Toxic's here and Oxide is here, a Pulse. So being able to ask the important questions that you've been ever wanting to, seeing that the only time I think a lot of people have actually seen Toxic is if you're DJing, or mingling. I guess that's a term. Do a lot of people come up to you and start asking you questions about Pulse?
I've had it like sometimes. It's not very often that I go to public events. I'd usually like the homie events. If any of our friends are DJing, we'll go there, and we usually know the club owners of that place, so it's not usually I'll ever get asked. But if I do go to like a public event or a place that I've never been to, I've had people ask me before, and there's just people greeting me, which is really cool. I like meeting new people, so it's like I need to do that more often. Actually, I need to go to a lot more clubs in here because there's a lot that I haven't been to that I should go to.
I promise. Cool to meet I feel like there is an abundance of like you need to dedicate some time to come in here and either network or talk to people, but at the same time you have to gas yourself up to do that. Like you have to give yourself enough energy to sit here and go, okay, I'm going to stay at the club for 3 hours, be on my best behavior and not party, but talk to people. And it's just like, all I've ever wanted to do was party, or maybe I do want to take a break from partying, but, you know, all of that is kind of important. You know, we're getting some questions in the chat here too. And it is a little early, but maybe you could give a little bit of sound advice of what you've been experiencing through Pulse. But what kind of advice would you kind of give for upcoming groups, especially newer ones that want to get to the same level as you are? Because I would only assume that Pulse is kicking a lot of ass when it comes to making the events, doing the events, and just overall running the events every week.
I'd 100% say, like, make sure, you know, you're locked in, you kind of know what you want to do. Also, as Rob said, like, with networking and stuff like that, having, like, networking with people, meeting new people, meeting DJs, and finding friends and stuff like that, that's a very good starting point, and that's pretty much how Pulse is now, to be fair. Is like, a lot of inside Pulse instances, I'll have, like, if there's 80 people in there, I'll have, like, 40, 50 friends in there. So a lot of, like, a good chunk of the people in Pulse is all friends, and then you'll get the people joining from friends of friends, and so on and so on. So it's definitely good to have a good set of friends, and then you're also networking with DJs and stuff like that. It's definitely, like, a good starting point. It's just getting to know people in the scene.
I know as of recently, again, with the springtime, I know for me in Central Florida, spring break is starting to blossom. There are people everywhere and they want to party. I'm not saying that people aren't going to be doing that sometime in the next couple of weekends to begin with, let alone St. Patrick's Day is literally Tuesday. Which I would assume people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to plan events. Timeline's going to be flooded with a bunch of St. Patrick's Day events. I got to make everything green. You know, luckily Oxide's a little green, so you're all set to go. But like, how has Pulse been kind of going? Has it been ultra busy? Have you guys been bogged down yet about the amount of events that you're doing, or the amount of staffing or people or time commitment? What's that been looking like?
It's definitely been busy. As of, well, September of last year, it's been very, very busy. Not what we expected. Before that, usually it was just a couple of homies. We'd all, you know, sit around and DJ and, you know, support each other. We'd practice in sets and stuff like that. And then in September, we did this, like, I made a whole new map and stuff like that, which is the map we currently use. We put we got together a big ass lineup, and it was Dougie, Raz, Supplanter, Veletix, and Ollie. And the second we opened, it was already at 80, and I was like, whoa, okay. And the queue just kept building and building and building and building and building. And then just since then, we've been busy every event. It's like every event has been flooded with new people, flooded with the same people from the events from a while ago, and it's like, holy shit, this is crazy. I never imagined to get to any of this and pools being busy or anything like that. It's like, it's really cool.
I think a lot of people at home would be asking, and we occasionally get back to it every so often, only because it's usually word of mouth until they join a Discord or even talk to some other DJs and stuff like that. But how's booking for DJs been recently? Do you find a lot of new beginner DJs looking to test the waters? Do you think a lot of people are proactively trying to get on lineups? And I know it's normal in VRChat to be able to be like, okay, we're going to put together lineups for an entire month. But especially for those people that are proactively looking to be at every event or do every event, has that been a problem yet? Or how has that process been going?
It definitely used to be trying to find DJs that we actually enjoy and that can, the music that we like to hear inside of Pulse events. Was definitely hard at first. As of recently, it hasn't. I get like quite a few DMs a week of people asking to play. So I have people written down on a list of like, who can I put on what lineup? So it's been pretty easy. I get people just sending me their like SoundCloud links and stuff like that. And honestly, I love listening to people's mixes when they send them to me. Because when I be working, I'll put that stuff on the background and I'll listen to it. And if I like it, I'll DM them and I'll try and get them on a lineup that makes sense. Because a lot of our events are open genre, but we like to make our lineups make sense. So there's not a drastic, change within the music or anything like that. It's all the same sort of vibe throughout the full event. But it's been pretty easy trying to book DJs as of now.
Between the two of you, have you seen any sort of a new balance of genre stylings? I know of recently people are kind of leaning more towards maybe some sort of a dubsteppy vibe or hard style. Even in the past year, what have you guys kind of been seeing as far as the change in genre or popularity in a genre?
I've been hearing, like as of recently, a lot of Jersey and trap and stuff. DMB is very big. Dubstep has kind of always been big in this scene. I've always heard dubstep quite a lot. But like the new rising ones that I never thought would sort of get up there is Jersey and trap and stuff like that. I rarely hear that, and now I hear it quite a lot, which is really cool.
So we're basically going to be hearing an abundance of Jersey Club in the next couple of months, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen some of the same things. It's kind of like I like to think of it as like the reverse of IRL, to where IRL, at least in North America right now, dubstep is like pretty much the top right now. And then everything else is kind of underneath. But in here, it feels like dubstep is at the bottom, kind of, and then all the other obscure genres are like people come on here to maybe get a break from dubstep and just explore other genres. No offense to dubstep, of course. But yeah, also experimental is making its way into VRChat a lot. I've been seeing a lot of different clubs embracing more experimental sounds. Shout out Elysian and PSHQ for doing that.
I know later on in the show we're going to be kind of diving into your music production journey, Oxide, and how you want to continue to make music and be able to outside of the regular to-dos that you do in here, there's a lot of other passionate people that want to do exactly what you're doing, and you want to be able to help them and mentor them as well. Where do you kind of see the landscape in all of that? I know 2026, especially right now, they tend to write the rest of the year based on what the forecast is going to be like when it comes to popularity and chasing genres, as well as maybe the outlook of clubs. We're going to be kind of like, ooh, I wish we had plenty of time to be able to break that idea down, because a lot of the IRL DJs right now are upset with a lot of clubs and bars because the bars and clubs can't afford their sound or afford them. They're trying to save money on, because the certain demographics not buying enough liquor, they're not putting enough effort into lighting and stuff. But at the same time, they don't have enough energies of understanding what the popular genre is, or the popular music style kind of moving forward. And that's kind of a troubling thing for people of VRChat, is that while we're doing this as a hobby, we're passionate about said hobby, which then can lead into a more popular trend later on, like how you were saying, with Jersey Club kind of becoming this new bright idea that a lot of people want to hear more of. A lot of those IRL DJs are going to have to learn how to transition into that, or learn that style pretty quickly if they want to capture an audience. So how are you kind of seeing that trend happening in here? I don't want to call it a trend, because with a trend, it just seems like it'll die, over time. But at the same time, it does seem like an importance of an understanding, especially for some new DJs in here, whether or not they want to play what they're passionate with, or playing to, the crowd that enjoys that particular genre.
There's a quote I always like referencing. It goes, what was it? There's DJs that play what they think people want to hear, and there's DJs that play what you didn't know that you wanted to hear. So I feel like there's a lot of both of that going on in the rave scene here and IRL, where some DJs may feel like they need to play what they think people want to hear, like just popular songs or anything like that, just things people really want to hear and things that are popping right now. And then there's DJs that are like, I don't really care what anyone thinks. I want to play what I want to play. So I feel like those people are like the gems in the community where you go to see them play and it's like nothing you've ever heard before or something like that. And you like fall in love with that DJ and you follow them everywhere. So I think those people are gems.
It's one of the great things about our community to begin with, is like, while there can be a popular genre, people can be filtering into, but also learning about a specific genre too, and then falling in love with it. I promise you, listen, it's not just my age, but I had a best friend in high school who loved Steely Dan, and I thought he was a hippie, like for a good chunk of time, because I'm just like, how are you interested? It's kind of like it's like Deadheads. You're just like, oh, your music is way beyond me. But then at a certain point in time, you sit down and listen to it, and I go, all right, I get it. And then you fall in love, and then that's you're starting to grab the mold of it and go, okay, great, now I'm a hippie, and now I get to do this. So that's intentional and that's meant to be. But it seems like the mystery within our community is like what we enjoy and what we want to show our passions about will ultimately feed into mainstream media, on how we're able to bridge the gap between the fun things that we do in here, the skills that we provide in here, and the experience that we have in here to want to play clubs or bars, or maybe even get up on a festival lineup, or just be able to showcase it on virtual reality outside of oh, you're a furry, oh, you're a girl, oh, you're a something, you're a a chibi, you're the small thing, I don't know, you're an anime, you're an anime, great, cool. That always seems to be a very fun thing to do. But it's true, it's very true, and we continue to feed into it, because outside of the passions that we do in here, someone's bound to learn about something else. So we're gonna definitely feed into that. And fun fact, we were getting a question about photography, and I wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper into it before on the other side of the show that we're going to talk even more about clubs. But someone mentioned the idea of photography and how important photography is to taking photos, as well as creating the posters for the events. A couple of months back, we did talk with another group, was exclaiming their process of how they were putting together posters for events and how that's important. but also kind of break down the idea of, again, collaboration with Rave Factory and Contain about creating these videos that literally have been eating up social media and bringing more content in here. Where do you see that from both of you? Where do you kind of see that leading into 2026 as we continue to combat some of the negative videos that we do currently have in here? Are we going to start seeing more of that, or are we starting to get more fancy with influencer content creation type of things?
It would definitely be a goal to kind of bring it as a positive for people to see how things are in here. And there's definitely like the trailers of where you can see what's going on inside the club with all the people. Because like some of these clubs, they have big queues, and some people want to like, you know, dip into like these other clubs, but they can't get in because there's a queue of like 100 plus people for like Rave Factory Contain or something like that. So being able to see the videos is also a cool way to kind of know what's going on in there, and dedicates people more to be like, okay, I got to get in here. And it creates a whole positive around the community itself. And then you have the other trailers where it's like for a specific event where they'll make a trailer. And I know Contain did that a lot, whereas like they'd have a whole team of people and they'd make trailers and stuff like that. I think they did one with Oxide too for the Halloween event. They had like a whole trailer for that too, which was really cool.
And what about you, Oxide? What do you see with the, actually? I'm gonna ask more of like on the lines of the photography, because it does seem like a lot of pictures. I mean, we have the accessibility of creating those 8K, you know, those huge, massive, graphic looking pictures. But how can we continue to feed that energy into IRL applications outside of the standard you're an anime?
I think just by making VR social media accounts. So like whether it's Blue Sky or Twitter or Instagram, you're just taking pictures in VR of either the rave scene or whatever world that you like, and then just posting that online for other people to see that may not be on VRChat. And then I see a lot of people like posting worlds and stuff like that, and then the comments are like, "Whoa, where is that? What game is that?" And then it gets more people introduced into VRChat that way.
I like how you said it was a game, because I think a lot of people, they think VRChat is a game, and I'm like, well, how do you get the high score? What's the achievements of the game of
social?
Yeah, I mean, I always call it like a social platform or like a social interaction
Mhm.
platform, or I call it the physical representation of the internet, because we got a lot of memes in here too, and it's weird to be able to walk next to Uganda Knuckles and be like, well, damn, you're a lot shorter than I thought you were gonna be. Um, but before we kind of get into more nitty gritty stuff, I'm curious, and this is going to be a very basic question, and I'm hopefully you guys will be able to answer it to your best of your ability. But where do you guys see the community going? Where do you see the rave scene going as of recently? And you guys can decide on how much of a time frame you want on that, whether it be like 6 years or 2 years or 1 year. Where are we? Are we on track? Are we doing okay?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's also really sort of like we don't really know. The scene can go in many different ways. It's like no one really ever knows, because a lot of people have their own lanes in this scene too. So it's like we're a big community when you look at it from an inside perspective. When you look at it from the outside, it's kind of like a small little niche area. It's like not many people know about it that are in this, like, you know, the quote unquote surface of VRChat. Uh, so the scene can go in many different ways. If more people come in, then it's going to be easier to find VRChat events. You've also got the Live Now tab too, which also brings many more people in. So the scene could just continue to rise and rise and rise and rise, which we're seeing now is like the scene is rising. You get all these new DJs coming in. A lot of IRL DJs too are coming in. It's like the scene can go in many different ways at this point. It's like it's very, you know, you can't really tell.
Would you say it's exciting, or is that still kind of like rough? Because while it's exciting, you know, I don't know, it's like going on vacation. You still have to like walk through all of the rest of the tourists and like try to make it to your hotel, and you know, wherever you're going to go, there's going to be some popularity at some point.
And it's definitely exciting. I'm very excited to see where the scene goes because we have so much planned. So it's like to see what happens in the future would be really cool to see.
Now, when it comes to like again, music creation and even DJing for you, Oxide too, how are you taking a lot of the new DJs coming in? Are you excited for them? Are you excited to hear their music? I mean, I would only assume too that as you do get better, there is a point in time where you're just like, you know, you don't want to give them head pats and be like, oh, that's cute, but like at the same time, you know, you want to explain to them if they need more practice or if you genuinely like something. What has it been kind of it for you for the past couple of years?
Yeah, hell no. I tell them to lock in. No, I'm just kidding. I try to help new DJs a lot. If anyone ever comes to me, whether it be like music production or just DJing, I definitely try to help them out. I have a whole server dedicated to helping new people out with music production and DJing. So I definitely try to do my part in the community where when new DJs come in and they want to say DJ for a specific group that they've always dreamed about, I'm like, hey, show me that you have the skills to do it, and I'll hit up whoever, and then try to get you on the lineup. Because I feel like new DJs always deserve that chance to show their skills and prove what they're worth.
It's interesting too, and I know for me, I gotta have to step on eggshells a little bit, but there is a new popular trend of being a bedroom DJ, not just for VR's sake, but like, I live relatively close to the University of Central Florida, and I kid you not, there's so many bros over there that have these conversations at the coffee shops daily, where they're just like, yeah, I got my Flex 4 and I'm sitting at home and I'm DJing on the internet and I'm DJing and I'm just sitting here going, "Oh man," like they're telling each other the same, like they're all copies of each other of like the same kind of
Mhm.
console that they have. And I'm like, good for you for learning a skill and like trying to, jump in and try to give it a shot. But when it's all mass produced, it's just like, oh, how many are there going to be? Like, how many people have they told? Are they going to have their own festival? Are they going to be able to, are they going to get on CDJs at some point in time? And so for me, it's like, it's exciting, but at the same time, you really don't want like a whole group of failure. You want people to succeed as much as you can, and being able to, let alone that those kids don't know about VR chat yet. And then we're like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, you're still in college and you're still okay. You're going to college for a different reason than DJing, but oh, okay, you want to be a professional DJ too. Okay,
Hmm.
you want to be a professor and professor DJ. I don't DJ PhD or something. I don't know. But it's something, we talk about these things, and like we want to continue to help these people with their passions, new DJs, and understanding, because I feel like everybody should give it a shot. It's just unfortunate that right now everybody wants to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to kind of prepare ourselves for the future. It's VRCDJ Live. We're sitting here with Toxic and Oxide of Pulse, and time to kind of break it down. A lot of people are excited. I'm excited. Most of the time, I think when I sent you a list of the questions, one of the things I ended up saying literally at 5 o'clock this morning when I was writing up these questions was, I'm honestly really surprised that nobody has put together, like, there's the timeline, but that's the timeline of future and current events. I'm waiting for someone to come in with the archive, like VRC.archive, where we have to break down.
That'd be cool.
It would, but nobody has the time. I mean, I don't have the time for it. And as much as I would love to have, some people involved, most of the time we have a lot of people that come in here and they want to go to a Pulse event and just enjoy the music, get drunk, and move on. In reality, what I want them to do is get to know you guys and get to know what your passions are and where you want to see Pulse going and where you see the rave scene going. And the other side of it too is that, like, nostalgia. Not everybody's into nostalgia, especially for those that have been in here as long as I have, where they're just like, oh, your grandpa, great, let's get you your cane, you old man. And like nobody has time for that. Nobody truly has time for that because we're in the now. Having an archive would be fantastic because we could break it down and be like, let's just say you guys have a really awesome event this year, and we have to just be like, 2026 was dominated by Pulse. for this particular thing, and then it's just in the books forever. But kind of break down the whole idea of Pulse, how you began it, why you began it, and what was the intention? What was the first pulse of Pulse to get you kind of getting that going?
The first Pulse ever was like, I think a few, like me and a few of my homies, got a brand new deck, and we were trying to find places to sort of play. So we kind of like, we wanted to practice before we started going out to all these other clubs and saying, hey, can we play? Because we wanted to know that, you know, we're good on our new decks and stuff like that. So we created like a little group for all the homies. There's about like 20, 30 of us that would just mix for each other every week. And then we sort of started like booking other DJs too, because it was like, okay, this like, it was starting to take off a little bit, where we noticed like new people were coming in that we'd never seen before, like people that we didn't know. It was like, hell yeah. And we kind of kept that going on. And we were just like, at that point, we was using just worlds that we were finding through searching like Rave in the worlds tab. And we just go in there and throw our links in and we just DJ. And we were like, okay, how did that sound? And I was like, okay, that shit was dope. And then, you know, the next DJ would go on, next homie. And then you'd have like people coming in too, dancing at the front. And you were like, this shit's dope. So we started booking like outside DJs, bringing them into, and we'd mix it up a little bit between like homies and other DJs. And then that's when we sort of go, okay, we're taking this serious. Like this is actually going somewhere. Because at that point we'd hit things like 500 members, and it was like, okay, this is going great. I started in world creation. Oxide was a very, you know, big help on how to do certain things within Unity. Because I remember Oxide would crash out all the time in my DMs saying, yo, why are you doing that? Change the setting or some shit like that. And I just feel I mess it up. And I remember all the time Oxide was telling me to change specific settings or optimize this. And then I think we had the first world, which was a bunker. Not my best piece of work, but it was something. It was something for the time being. Yeah, we had the bunker. It was good for what it was. Like, it was my first ever map I ever created. It was decent. We had quite a few different worlds. It was like we had the office too, which was like, no. I remember that was like Oxide was set in the back and didn't even realize that it was me that was DJing at the time. Cause it was like I was still like introduced to Oxide very vaguely, but I was still getting help.
Having an office, were you
Oxide helped
expecting
me.
like some sort of a role play, like everybody was in suits or something, or?
No, I don't even know where the idea of making an office came from. I don't actually know. I think it was specifically for house music. We did it on a Tuesday, I think it was, where we get like house DJs. And I think the first ever event we did in there got to like 70 people. And I was like, okay, the map was really, really small. Honestly, I didn't really know how to scale anything or anything like that. So we fit 70 people in this tiny ass room. And it was, oh gosh, I remember it too. It was all kick.
So you're saying that
It was a fire-ass
there
night.
is a limit to how small, because I feel like a lot of people talk about that too, where they're just like, you don't want a huge venue because then it'll look like it's not very full, but then you have something that's small and you're like, okay, everyone's piled on top of each other. Is this okay?
Definitely, yeah. There's definitely a limit. You know, you can only go so small, and that's what we was experimenting too with the new map. Was like, how small can we get this without it being too cramped? And we've kind of got it perfect where I don't really want to tweak with it now, because anytime we've had 80 people in there, it's looked like 100 people, but then you'll have all the people at the front going crazy, fighting for a spot at the front. And then you get the people in the middle that are like, you know, vibing out, and then you get the people at the back that are also vibing out, and it's it's not too cramped. It's cramped for people that are new and that haven't really been, or people that get overstimulated a lot. It's very cramped in that sort of sense, but like as for someone that goes to a rave all the time and loves to party and socialize and stuff like that, I'd say it's a perfect size.
I want you to talk a little bit about that too, because I have been noticing that happening a lot with like Rave Factory. I don't know so much about Contain because I haven't been going to a lot of Contain shows. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Like, listen, yeah. I mean, listen. I've literally said I'm not doing anything on Fridays anymore. So if you find me here on Fridays, that's the reason why. Because I'm just like, I'm gonna try. Yeah, I'm gonna try. But I've been seeing that happen a lot more, where when you have a DJ in the back and you have a lot of people in the front, kind of like riding the rails and kind of shaking them and stuff like that. It is starting to become more of a norm to be able to do. And here, like, it's confusing because number one, you're not actually holding on to rails unless you actually have a full-size concert rail in your room that you're kind of doing this in real time. I mean, more power to you if you do. But at the same time, too, like certain venues feature certain vocal restrictions. You know, like, I mean, we all know Shelter. It's very hard to talk in Shelter. Sanctum kind of does the same thing where you're just having a hard time talking to each other. But I've been seeing that becoming more popular where people are coming up front. Maybe they're dancing. They're getting more involved. Do you think it's because they're so involved with the music or they're trying to recreate what it's like in the club? Or do you think it's because they also know that visually it will probably end up on social media somewhere?
Definitely I feel like a lot of people now when they create maps, they kind of want to go for a more realistic feel. And definitely a lot of clubs IRL do have very confined spaces, especially if it's like a small underground like bunker or a warehouse or an abandoned building or something like that. A lot of places are very small, and being able to recreate that inside of VR is very cool. And Shelter does it really well too, where it's like, especially that little warehouse. Well, it's a big warehouse, but the actual room itself is tiny. But the warehouse it's honestly, it's really cool. And not being able to really hear anybody or speak to anybody inside there is also like it can be annoying for some people, but I think honestly, personally, it's really cool. It's very realistic. And I was kind of experimenting with that too, in a way. We was testing out new audio for 3D audio, but to where it actually sounds good. And, Contain's doing that too with the new Cuposonics sort of audio system, which is really cool too. I feel like what really triggers the sort of noise thing, especially with 3D audio, is voice fall off. I feel like does it a lot because when I removed voice fall off, everything was back to normal. So I feel like 3D audio fucks with voice fall off a little bit, and it's like it then becomes impossible to hear people. Which is something we had to fix, which we ended up fixing, thankfully. Because I do also like hearing friends and being able to cheers people and stuff like that. And if I can't hear them, I'm not gonna be able to cheers anybody. So,
and honestly, too, it's been really refreshing to see people properly rave. And in here, it always seems like in the past 3 or 4 years, everything was kind of safe when it comes to how far you want to handle yourself. And not to completely push my age or nothing, but back in high school, I was big with the ska crowd and skanking and doing the circles in the mosh pit and stuff like that. And I remember going to a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones show maybe 5 years ago, something like that. And the adults that used to do that are teaching their kids. And so the adults on the outside they're like, go get them, Timmy. Go and run in circles, throw elbows, have a good time. But like they're doing it safely. And the same thing goes with the ravers in here too, is like at some point in time, y'all are going to be doing like an IRL show and you're going to be riding the rails. I guess apparently in the chat they were saying the bed rail. I mean, I would assume that's a thing too, I guess, but I would think that your office chair would be a good one. Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but it's again, it's a whole process of understanding because this is my first time kind of seeing that happen normally, and I'm like, let's go. That's cool that you're able to kind of mold that and kind of get that going. Speaking of it, why Pulse?
Why Pulse? Like, what do you mean by like why Pulse?
Yeah, why create the name Pulse for the club?
I actually don't remember why we chose Pulse. I think Pulse was more like a feel the pulse of the music. That was like one of our first ever like motto sort of things. It was feel the pulse. And then we moved on to return to reality. But pulse was more like to feel the pulse of the music, or like the pulse of the people around you, of stuff like that. Especially with like the haptics and stuff like that. You definitely feel the pulse or the bass in a way of the music. So it's like, let's go with pulse. Is when that was definitely the whole goal, was to feel the pulse in the music. We get very basic music genres inside of Pulse a lot. It'd be like techno and stuff like that, drum and bass. You can definitely feel the pulse of the bass from that kind of stuff, especially IRL.
See, when we started the show, like I was just kind of joshing with you. I was joking with you about the feeling the pulse, but I guess we kind of hit it on the head right there.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have really considered it.
That
But
used to be our old motto. It was feel the pulse. That's like when we first created. That was what was in our group description. It was feel the pulse. So you got that spot on.
I'm also thinking, listen, I'm just saying, put it on a shirt. I'd wear it. And they're gonna be like, ooh, feel the pulse, yeah.
Let's go.
Hopefully people don't take it out of context, but yeah. I would only, I take it out of context. Maybe put the VRC logo on it or something. Make sure people know it's VRChat, but
that was definitely an issue. We kind of went over with the new venue. We called it Club Pulsate, and we kind of like, I remember speaking with Oxide. I was like, is this going to be seen as like, is this going to be taken out of context, like feeling the pulse?
Listen, I am not saying that you can't get specific sponsorships and partners that have pulsating action, and that's a way to feel the vibe, I guess. But I mean, that's good business practice too, I suppose, if that's something that you're, not saying that you're going to be kind of going into it. So outside of just Pulse, again, one of the cool questions I really love to ask is between the two of you, and we'll kind of start with Toxic over here. We'll move over to Oxide. But how did you get into VRChat? Was it DJing first, or was it you were doing gaming things and then you kind of stumbled into VRChat?
Nah, I started VRChat around 2019, and it wasn't because of the clubbing scene. It was because of the YouTubers. Some of the main YouTubers used to do the Uganda knuckles, and then in came the toothbrush guys, whatever those were.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember the names of them.
The No Square guys.
They had the yeah. That's kind of like why I bought a headset. Oh, I got a headset for Christmas. And then 2022 was when I stumbled into the rave scene. I had joined one of my friends that was in Loner. Was at a Loner event, was my first ever VRChat event. And then my second was Tube. And those were like big sort of like starting points. And then I started going deep into the scene. There's like Concrete and Shelter and Diesel Works and stuff like that. It's definitely like my main sort of clubs that I used to go to a lot. Is those main clubs.
So how did you ended up representing yourself or presenting yourself as a DJ at the time?
I mean, at the time, I was a very like shy person. I would always be like at the front of the club, but at the side too, just dancing and being myself. And I would sort of DJ for like homies, like some of the smaller clubs where I knew people. And it was only as of like recently where I'd actually started going out there and kind of making myself known, because I did take a break from VRChat in like 2023, and it came back 2024. And that's 2024 was when all the networking started happening, and I got myself out there. I started taking bookings, and I was DJing quite a bit. And then I stopped DJing for quite a bit because my GPU ended up cooking itself, so I wasn't able to play at any of the clubs. And then I came back it was in January of this year. My bookings are insane. I wasn't expecting it. I did like 15 sets in January, but 17 in February. I've not done a lot as this month, was kind of like slowing down on the bookings. But definitely, it's definitely been a journey in VRChat. I'm very surprised.
You think that's a proper way to network too? I know a lot of the time, especially on social media, when a lot of DJs are starting to want to talk to other DJs, there's no definitive template on how to approach that. You know, you don't just go up to a DJ and be like, "Oh, I DJ too." What do you got to do? Give each other a high five? Like, are you want to? I think a lot of the time people have their USB stick in their pocket. They're like, "Hey, can I DJ?" And you're like, "I don't even know who you are." But even in VR, there's always a case to where like anybody can DJ at any point in time. They can do pop-ups. They can hang out with their friend group, as you like to say, with the homies and stuff. But even in the case of you wanting to take the next step of showcasing what you do, it can be a little intimidating. So where do you think that would start?
Oh, I don't even know. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people now is just like you DM somebody, you send them a set, and you're good. It's like sort of what happens now is like you can DM a club owner or a bookings manager or something like that and be like, "Hey, I play this, I play that. Here's a set that I did at such a place. Hope you can listen to it, and I can play at your club at some point." Which is now what a lot of DJs do, and it's how they sort of get that sort of networking. Definitely playing like a lot of clubs, and you start small, you go up and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you start taking bookings where you don't even have to ask club owners anymore.
I think a lot of people are also kind of wondering where Toxictrate came from.
So where Toxictrate came from?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that was honestly, it's pretty funny, and it's like short and simple. It was a spelling mistake when I was a kid, and I kept it. I kept it all these years. It's supposed to be Toxictrate. I spelled trait wrong when I was on Xbox. And I kind of just stuck with it. I'm not gonna lie, I just stuck with it.
But do you find that there's some sort of branding also added to that too? How does your branding kind of work with that?
With branding, I don't really know. It's just maybe the ongoing joke of me being toxic, but
I mean,
yeah,
I'm never
it's just
around for you
like
to see how
sometimes.
your toxic happens. I know you're laughing, probably thinking that you've heard it before.
Nah, I think it's just a joke. I think Toxic's a sweetheart.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it'd be like definitely like small little trolling with the homies. I'd be like, "Toxic, you're being so toxic right now." And it'd be like something where I'm being rage baited and I'm crashing out, and then I'd be called toxic, and it'd be like, "Fuck, man!" Like,
I mean, you could have been DJ
start rage
Sweetheart and
baiting
then
me.
played music like Baby Metal or something silly where like you're cute and innocent, and then you just start
That'd be
screaming like you're a Gretzko or something.
that'd be fun as fuck.
I mean, that's a good. I mean, listen, anybody can take that. It's a free
Good idea.
world. But speaking of so much more with different names, Oxide, let's kind of talk with you a little bit. I kind of want to break down your role in Pulse just to start with, and then we're gonna kind of see pretty much ask all of the different questions that we just asked Toxic about. But I know you have the role of media designer. We have been kind of talking a little bit about you helping out with the creation of worlds and stuff, and I think you have some experience in making the posters for the events too. So tell us a little bit about some of the stuff that you do for Pulse.
Yeah, so I've been kind of on and off with Pulse since the beginning, or close to the beginning. Toxic started booking me for DJing like way back then. And then as they grew and as time passed, I got a little bit more involved and I got to know Toxic a little bit more. So basically, whenever she needs help, I just either make them a flyer or I'll help them with world stuff.
So I know one of the things that we were kind of talking a little bit about today was you're kind of extending your passions into creating music and music production. And I did get a chance to sit and listen to some of your tunes on SoundCloud. You got the new song Change of Mind that just came out literally about 20 days ago. People need to hear that. They need to hear this tune. It's amazing.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And also I have been kind of seeing a little bit of the fact that you've been working with ShelterNet as well. So tell us a little bit. I mean, this seems kind of fairly new for you to pick up these pieces a little bit with your music creation. So tell us a little bit about your journey so far on being able to create the music and also be able to integrate it into what we've got going on in here.
So it's been a pretty interesting journey as far as VRChat goes. I've been making music like long before I got onto VRChat. So I got hit up by a good friend named Guac. They own the group Psychedelics. Um, and they literally just go on Instagram and they just find different DJs or producers and they hit them up and they're like, hey, you ever DJ in VR? And so that's how I got introduced to VR. They hit me up and asked me to play for one of their festivals. I said, sure, why not? And then I already had a headset. And I think I played VRChat like one time, like a year before, but I quit. So I already had a headset. I just never used it. And so I got introduced to the rave scene in VRChat. I had no idea that all of this was going on in VRChat. So I thought it was really cool. Um, and then all of my DJ skills I already had, so it transferred pretty easily onto VRChat. Um, and then I think around either like a year or so before I started getting on VRChat, I started taking my music a little bit more seriously. Because I was on like a couple year hiatus from making music. I quit for a long time. And then getting on VRChat, that kind of revived my love for DJing as well. Because I'm also a promoter, IRL. So I host raves IRL, and I was doing that before I got on here as well. Um, and I got a little bit tired of DJing. I was DJing a lot of the same stuff because you don't really have as much freedom IRL as you do in VRChat in regards to DJing. So I was playing a lot of the same genres, and I was just getting really bored of that. But as soon as I got on VRChat and I started DJing, I'm like, hey, these people are so much more open to different genres than IRL in my scene. So it was really refreshing getting onto VRChat and DJing what I actually wanted. I feel like I grew a lot as an artist. And I've also met people that have given me a lot of support with my music. I feel like if I didn't get on VRChat, wouldn't still be making music today. I've gotten so much support from people, so I always appreciate everyone in the community in VRChat, and I try to give back as much as I can.
And it kind of opens up the conversation too of like, obviously there's some significance and importance in here. And a lot of the IRL DJs that I have been talking to, even the past couple of months, one of their first premier questions is how much money do you make? And we have to always kind of break down that idea of there is no money, but there is exposure. And that's such a tricky word to kind of bring up too. It's just like nobody wants to do something for exposure. You can't pay rent with exposure. We've already known this. But also too, we can't deny the fact that what we do in here has significance and meaning. And what's funny is the IRL DJs that I have been talking to are griping because of what we were saying earlier, how a lot of these clubs cannot hire them based on their skills. And it's annoying because those clubs are saving their money for, the owner's daughter's boyfriend or something that, whatever. As long as he pushes play and he looks like he's doing a thing, then sure. Or they're saving money on buying fewer alcohol. Or I think one venue also decided to not turn on the lights at an event because it saved money or something. And all of that sucks. That sucks. That's stupid. But those DJs, those IRL DJs also are in fear of the idea that, God forbid that I say, they think that everything in here, we're all NPCs or we're all AI or this is, you're not real. You're not real. You're just a video game. You're just anime. And for me to say, all right, curb your enthusiasm. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on in here. And maybe we should bring you in here so you can see what's going on in here. But even considering, like you were saying, that you were tired of DJing for a little while, it lit the spark again on how you wanted to be more passionate and work on music and stuff. So kind of help me identify it a little bit better, because earlier on in the scene, it seemed like what we were doing in here was just play. But now, as we're continuing on, and we are starting to see more clubs identifying themselves as a record label, or even an actual club, or again, we'll bring it back to Shelter, where, like, 2TD is actually taking it on the road and actually doing these IRL events and stuff. At some point in time, some of the big wigs are going to kind of lean into that, and they're going to say, wait a minute, this isn't a fad as they used to say. I'm trying to think of the name of the person that I was talking to who explained that VR was a fad. And if that's the case, dude, we've been rocking this fad for like 6 to 7 years. Like, it's been going on for a very long time, and all of us continue to want to come in here to do this. But if we want to continue to build the bridge to bridge the gap on what we do in here, especially with the music creation in here, tell us a little bit about the significance of what we're doing in here so far compared to how we can continue to get more people and more attention to our scene.
I think it takes evolving as groups, like different rave groups evolving to do more things, whether it be like IRL events or just creating more unique experiences. For example, like Shelter, they're doing IRL events in places like California and Japan, and I think that's really cool to get attention from people IRL that may not be on the VR chat side, but they may see the advertisement of Shelter and they decide to go and then they learn about VR chat. So I think it's a lot about evolving what we do on VR chat in regards to how raves go. There's a few groups that are doing like really interesting things, and I feel like as long as we're continuing to innovate within the groups and coming up with different ideas on like, hey, how can we make this more attractive? How can we make this event more interesting? I feel like that would definitely put us on the map in regards to getting more IRL people in here.
Now, when it comes to the music production part of things, I think one of the hindrances that I think a lot of DJs in here have been learning about on social media, especially when it comes to either even thinking about performing at festivals, is having some form of original song or a remix, or learning how to edit, or using a DAW, or just regular music production to begin with. There's a stigma of that, where it's just like they won't just take a DJ who's really skilled and put them on a lineup without additional skills. Like, you have to produce, you have to make your own music, and you have to have a following, having all three of that, to make it significant enough to be able to play something outside. Now, in the case of what we do in here, you could still DJ and just be a DJ. There's a lot of people that want to produce music in here as well. They want to perform the music that they produce. And in the case of, for you, like you're saying, you have Discords where you go in and you help people with that concept of being able to produce music, understand how a DAW works, and maybe even some plugins that are popular that people can use, comparable to your what up, it's your boy on the internet. Like, you got a bunch of those producers on the internet that ruin the entire experience. But I would love your flavor on that. I'd love your opinion on that, because it does seem like we're kind of heading into that realm of, I DJ, what else do I need to do to get noticed in the scene to begin with? And I feel like we're going to be rolling into that concept of, you also have to produce as well.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get to that point where it's like, especially IRL too, where it's like a lot of new people are starting to DJ. But of course, DJing has a lot easier entry than producing, so a lot more people are just DJing and leaving it at that. Um, I don't, as far as IRL goes, I feel like it depends on how far you want to take things. Like if you want to make it a career, obviously you're gonna have to produce. You can't just well, you can get by as a DJ, but there's only so far you can go doing that. Um, and as far as VR chat goes, you can pretty much do whatever you want. I feel like you do have more of an advantage if you do make music. For example, me, like I was a nobody when I got on here, like nobody knew who I was. But as soon as I started like sharing my music, um, I was getting booked like crazy. Like I wasn't even on VR chat for like a year and I got booked for Shelter just because I make music, you know. And I got a release with them. So it definitely gives an advantage to produce music. It's definitely a challenge and it takes many, many years, but if you're passionate about music, then who cares? You're gonna put in the work to learn. Um, and some people are ready for that, some people aren't. Like even the server I mentioned earlier, like some people attend the lessons, some people don't. Even though they are interested, it's a big commitment. Like it takes a lot of time. So I've only been making music for like probably 7, 8 years now, and I'm still learning every day. So
Where do you see the balance? Because now that you kind of come back to VR and you're doing a little bit more VR, you're doing a little bit more locking in with your music production. I feel like a lot of people know the inevitable answer to that, but they're afraid that they don't want to not have identity in a place that could potentially give them more growth. The question being is where are you finding your allegiances when it comes to showcasing your brand or as Oxide, comparable to your identity in VR and being able to showcase the stuff you do in here without the fear of judgment later on down the road, being like, are you a professional or not, you know?
um I feel like for me personally, I don't really care what people think of what I'm doing or my music or anything like that. I just do it for myself. And I feel like that's a big lesson that a lot of people need to learn is that this stuff is about you. Like you need to do what you enjoy. You don't need to like worry about what other people are thinking about you or if people are enjoying your set or not. Like sure, we're at the end of the day we are entertainers, but at the same time you got to enjoy it too. Otherwise this wouldn't really be like a hobby or a passion of yours. So I think that the balance of like making it good, making it fun for you as well as entertaining others is interesting, and it's a lot to learn, especially when you're new. Is just balancing. Hey, I like this, but maybe the crowd won't really like this. Um, yeah,
I mean, that's really good advice too, especially for those people that are wanting to come in here. I think one of the many challenges of understanding how to DJ or your self-identity or your DJ identity is either coming up with a persona or a DJ name that will stick or something that has value that you can carry on for a longer period of time that also has meaning, I guess. I think a lot of people IRL when they start a DJ career, they always start their name DJ something, DJ
hmm
Brian, DJ Chelsea or something. And it's like, all right, well, how many of those can we have? But at the same time, like the internet is such a weird place that when it does test you a little bit, and it's not anything that you have to have an iron stomach for, but it's a matter of understanding and adapting and then being able to be comfortable, like you were saying, with what you are presenting and what you're doing, without fear of judgment. You're just going out there and you're having a good time with it, and the music that you create, especially with the music you create, because you have, I feel like a lot of producers when they're making their tunes, they're like, "Is it done?" But at the same time, you kind of have to just release it and just hope for the best. And if it flops, then you'll know why it flopped, and then you can kind of carry on to do what you do.
right.
But even in VR too, like I'm kind of seeing that occasionally, and it's a small gripe. It's still a gripe, but it's a small gripe when I see a lot of passionate people that want to do passionate things, and it's not a matter of them treating it as a joke, but they have skills and intent to be so much greater than they lead themselves on to be. And I go, why haven't you taken that leap? How come you haven't taken that step? We got a lot of like your passions for music. I'm just like, I'm glad that you're able to take that step in that direction because, outside of our tiny village of some 250,000 users, with like 93,000 of them active at any given time, you're combating against the billions of people in the world, that could potentially, see more potential in what you do, or maybe you'll see a different look on many of those types of things. Speaking of which, you were also saying that you help promote outside of VR as well. What's your IRL experience when it comes to DJing and club life?
Oh boy. I've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now. I have a group called Charlotte Underground. It's based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I pretty much have been hosting raves ever since I got into the rave scene in my city. Um, it's been a very interesting journey. I've dealt with like big bookings of like people like Beast Boy, who also lives here. He's a good friend of mine, and other bigger names. So I've seen how money can impact like the rave scene, and it's like the higher you go with like the tiers of like your lineups and things like that, the more promoters have to care about the money aspect, which is unfortunate because you want to do it for the music, but promoting and hosting events costs a lot of money. So it's like a big issue that we deal with is getting people to support the locals more, so that we're not like constantly booking big names all the time, and saying, hey, we have these big DJs so you guys can come. Instead, we wanted to be like, hey, we have these local DJs every once in a while, come check them out, come find your new favorite DJ. And I try to do that in VRChat as well, because when I a little bit after I joined VRChat, I spun up my own group called Trench. We've been a little inactive recently because I've been trying to focus on making my album, but it's interesting to see the differences, hosting events on VRChat versus IRL. I feel like it was a lot easier to do in VRChat versus IRL, and met a lot of good friends, like my staff. Shout out to Gothy and Konzo and Becky, for supporting me. Trench has been a pretty interesting journey. I definitely want to get back to hosting events on VRChat. It's been pretty stagnant IRL too, which I need to fix, but it's just an issue of getting people out of their houses, at least IRL, to support local shows.
I'd like your take on it too. You don't have to do too much elaborating, but I think a lot of people that have skills in here and they're confident with their skills in here are looking to approach some of their local bars or clubs, but they may not know how to do that, or even because, like, again, it's one of those, I'm an anime girl on the internet, and these are the analytics that I've kind of dug up. And I'm sure, like we've talked about from time to time in here, if you're going to perform anywhere, you want to record it, you want to video it, you want to do like a couple snips or clips and put that online, or put together a little like, oh, this is what we did this evening, and feature a bunch of people raving, having a fun time, and that whole thing. And that, I'm hoping that helps with portfolio moving forward to wanting to find the local stuff. But is it as complicated as maybe many people believe it to be, where you can just kind of walk into a club and ask for a promoter or an owner, or maybe shoot them an email? What would you think would be a good idea for most of the DJs in here looking to go local?
Um, so you mean like a VRChat native DJ trying to get into the local scene IRL?
Yeah.
So I think that it's kind of the same as VRChat, where like when I first got on VRChat and I like was comfortable in with the rave scene and everything, I started messaging like as many club owners as I could, for the clubs that I wanted to DJ at. Um, and the number one lesson is they can only say no. The most they can say is no. So don't be afraid of rejection. So I think that transferring that to IRL, you need to show face. I get that a lot where new DJs want to play for a certain collective IRL, and they pretty much just say, like, the booking agent will literally just say, "Show face," like, come to the club and show face during an event, or um, just get their number or something like that to contact them. As long as it's not like you randomly sending a message digitally, I think it really matters if you show face and try to meet people in person. It definitely leaves an impression, and I feel like 9 times out of 10 they're going to give you a chance.
That's some really good odds too, especially because again, in a virtual reality chat, a lot of people have a hindrance of just doing that. Is maybe they're too scared to approach people or talk about these things, or just in general. And because I feel like everyone has that quirky, how much does a polar bear weigh enough to break the ice? Hey, how's it going? I'm Rob. And I'm like, boo, I don't know if you're going to do better business, like, I mean, that's cute and all, but like, holy moly. But, I'm really hoping that people take that advice, like literally, because it's going to kind of lead into the next topic of what we're talking about is we're starting to see a lot more clubs get more involved. Obviously, over the past year, we've been seeing some VRChat clubs wanting to go IRL. They want to do like a special event where they're, booking a venue and getting sound and having a lineup and dealing with ticket costs and like, alcohol permits and stuff like that. And that's a little scary. It's a little scary because now you're talking business with actual money compared to just doing stuff in here free as a hobby. And what's so special about that process is all babies got to walk. All babies got to crawl first, and when they walk, you're just like, oh my gosh. And and hopefully they don't fall and bang their head. But at the same time, that's how geniuses are made, I suppose. They fall, there's, whatever. Don't do that with your babies. Don't do that. That's not an intent for you to do that. But, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's great to be able to see that, but it's even greater from someone who's had radio experience and IRL DJ experience to be like, please keep doing this, keep what we do alive, keep people wondering and wanting to come in here and see some of the skilled DJs that we have in here, especially that are local and stuff like that. I promise you, I think I've only been to North Carolina once. But I can't imagine what it's like to just be hopping around. I mean, the collegiate scene would probably be a good idea, but I think it's also ruthless. I think if you were going to go around the colleges, they will eat you up, and spit you out, and then you'll be upset. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like we're constantly feeding into that narrative. Speaking of which, it's VRCDJLIVE. We're live with Toxic and Oxide. Oxide, I forgot to ask you, how did you even get Oxide to begin with?
I used to play a game called IMVU before I got on VRChat, and I got banned from there. And I had to buy a new account, and this guy that was selling accounts had the name Oxide for one. I was like, yo, that sounds fire. And so literally ever since then I've used it for everything. Like I changed that to my producer name, everything.
Do you find it to have some sort of like a chemical emotion, or like if it's peroxide or moxide?
Honestly,
or
yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like a chemical energy, It's like cool green punk vibes.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's got to be a whole list of oxides that people have to either ingest or understand your music because of a specific flavor of chemicals, but the same thing is don't huff your cleaner fluid, that's for sure. I mean, but that's still good to know just in case someone's like, oh, I want to learn about the lore about Oxide. Getting back on track about Pulse and getting Toxic back on here after taking a small hiatus over there, whatever you were doing. I want to kind of continue to have the conversation about the VR IRL scene. We're doing a lot of talking about this. We're doing a lot of understanding of how we want to continue to bridge the gap from what we do in here into IRL stuff. Have you had any discussions with anybody in your community about like trying to go pro at any given time?
As of now, I don't think we've mentioned it. It's definitely been a thought though of, potentially setting stuff up. It's just we don't really know how to go about it if it was to be mentioned. It's definitely been a thought in my mind, that's for sure. is definitely something like that'd be an end goal sort of thing, if anything.
I mean, have you even discussed, I mean, listen, like whatever conversations you guys have, you know, they are, and we're not looking for you to like be like special news, but like, have you even thought about a potential having an IRL show? I know recent groups have kind of got together and collaborated to potentially think, okay, maybe sometime in November, maybe sometime in October, where we can pull together our resources. Do you think that there could be an IRL Pulse event, or is it still relatively too soon?
It is. I'd say it's too soon because we haven't been around for that long. It's like we're still trying to kind of build a platform for ourselves. It's like Pulse as a whole hasn't been around for an entire year yet. So it's been sort of like building ourselves up and up and up, and then once we get to a level where we can kind of go like, hey, let's take this out of VR and build something IRL. Let's see what we can do for an event for all the homies and sell tickets or anything like that. That'd be something more for the future, as we're still relatively new and it's not been a main concern for us just yet. It's not been a main thought for us anyway.
Kind of breaking that down again too, when we were talking about the difference between a hobbyist DJ and someone that's kind of looking to gain a little bit more IRL experience, or even start networking and understanding what the entertainment business can have for them in the future. Kind of lost train of thought on this a little bit. As far as like, well, because like that's the thing is like it's bound to happen again, you know, where you have a bunch of people they're coming in and like the community knows best. I feel like the community will know if you are starting to gain much more traction or getting better skilled at a DJ idea. I think a lot of people believe that if you perform frequently that you'll get better, which I guess you'll also get to taste what it's like when you have nobody in a crowd compared to a full crowd, or you know, people, you'll even have people in the crowd like trying to talk to you while you're DJing, or you know, throwing stuff at you or something. So you get all those experiences, but you know, at the end of the day, we're in here and we're doing this as a hobby. The show is a hobby. Your events are a hobby. You know, have you been kind of seeing that recently too, where the community's feeding into the idea that it could happen, or are they just kind of still in it to have a good time?
I think a lot of people are just in it to have a good time, and that's kind of how we've always been since the starting of Pulse. It's always been like for everyone to have a good time, all the homies come in and have a good time, all their friends come in to have a good time. It's sort of been like the main focus of events. It's not something that's really ever been mentioned by anybody in the community, or not that I know of anyway.
I want to be able to break this down before we get into our next kind of topic, and I know one of the added conversations that we will continue to analyze in the next couple of months is the ever-growing love of doing IRL events, being nervous. Well, not nervous. I'm trying to figure out what the actual term of it was. Not even jealous, because we have seen, you know, again, we use Shelter because Shelter is this massive entity, right? But there are people that are motivated from Shelter's actions of being able to produce massive shows like this, where they do want to test the waters. But compared to where Shelter can be, and they're way down here, it just seemed like, well, I want to do it, but I'm hoping for success, but I'm hoping not to fail either. Which again, kind of going back to the idea of, you know, you will learn from failure. You'll continue to do failure, and like it'll help boost your morale to do better. But there's still such that high bar that it's so hard to attain for a lot of new clubs to even be able to break down that idea of, well, maybe this is something that I can do. So we try to lean into that with the idea of gaining success professionally and being able to show some of the IRL clubs that you have further potential, especially for the clubs being like, well, you know, how much money can you bring in? How much would you sell for tickets, how many bodies can you get in here, and how many people can buy, alcohol and stuff like that. All of that has a collective narrative, which I do want to kind of feed into much later on down the road. And it's just an open conversation that we're going to continuously have for many years to come. But I know earlier on in the show, we were discussing a little ounce of club etiquette. And I know everyone's going to scoff a little bit because they're going to be like, oh, man, we're going to kind of dive into the things that we either dislike about certain people or certain things that happen at the clubs. But I wanted to kind of get your opinions on some of this too, because again, spring break's here. Spring is around the corner. I think Easter's literally like April 5th. So like it's coming up. And we had kind of had that discussion of, hey, you're the owner of Pulse. Can I friend you? Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough sometimes, especially, if you don't really see yourself as some sort of a social pariah or some sort of content creator or influencer, besides, maybe talking about getting on a lineup at some point in time or learning about the community or something like that. So I kind of want to be able to break that down, especially for those that are interested in starting their clubs, because these are the things that we rarely talk about because we never have enough time to gripe and talk about. What have you been kind of learning recently about that? I mean, especially for the new kids that are coming in, I feel like they need to have the basic 101s of how to represent themselves in here and, introduce themselves.
Everyone starts somewhere. It's definitely, everyone has those like sort of ups and downs within running communities. Getting just like a sort of like vision of what you want sort of thing, and then just going with that and rocking with that and pushing that forward is sort of, you'll start to notice all the DJs and stuff like that will want to start playing for you, and there'll be a spark somewhere that will just kind of light you up, which is kind of what happened with us in September. There's a spark that got lit and it just kind of went up. And it's like, that's just what happens. It takes a while to sort of get noticed. And sometimes you might be at that sort of point where you feel like, oh gosh, like, how do we move up in the scene? Because that's what everyone wants to do. Everyone wants to do that. Like, everybody wants to be, everyone wants to be moving up and up and up. And of course, there's a lot of clubs that sort of don't get that recognition as a lot of clubs should. Definitely building your way up and keep on going, and that spark will just click. And it will. It always does. You just got to keep on pushing forward.
Kind of seems like a tricky question to ask, but like, do you think it will become a norm to a point where we always have to have two accounts, or we have one where we're just like kind of like a promoter, I guess, where it's just like you need to have bodies in there. So if you talk to the promoter, they'll kind of get you on a guest list, and then like they'll help you because they know that you want to be in there. But the problem is that when you do become the owner of something or the founder of something, or in this particular case, like I always use Poyomi as an example. Like Poyomi the person is in here, and when you run into Poyomi the person, you kind of point at them and say, "You're the guy. You did the thing." You're like, "Oh, like I use your thing. Let's be friends." And he's just like, who? Like, what? Like, how do you kind of respond to that? But at the same time, too, again, people want to get to know you and stuff like that. But I feel like we also kind of have to learn how to draw that line of, over time, you either change your name or we never communicate with each other. Is there a better way of defriending someone like that outside of just being like, well, we didn't talk after maybe 3 months or something?
Yeah, I'm always down to meet new people, and it's always good to find people that recognize me and, they say hi and stuff like that. I don't usually unfriend people when I add them. It's like, but I want to see you a few times before I do actually add you. And it's like, it's great I've seen you once, but am I going to see you again, that's the sort of thing that I want to have. I want to be able to, you know, interact with you more often. I want to interact with the people that are on my friends list, and I don't always get to do that because I've seen them once and never to be seen again. So I always keep that sort of rule with me where it's like, I want to at least see you a few times beforehand, and then, you know, we can be friends, and then so on and so on. Because it does happen where you can meet someone and you think, okay, I'm gonna add this person, I'm never gonna see them again. But then you can add them, and then you end up becoming best friends. Like it's like this is what happened with Dougie actually, which is how all of this shit happened and stuff like that. It's like I ended up becoming friends with Dougie, and that was literally just because I bugged Dougie. That was it. I bugged Dougie for a lineup, and then we just ended up becoming best friends. It's like what? Like now we're close as fuck, and it's like it's really cool. I love it.
What about you, Oxide? I feel like there's a moment of time too where people will kind of be like, "Oh, big guy, big britches. He's got some music. He's up on SoundCloud. He's under ShelterNet, and he DJs, and he's good looking. I want to be friends with this guy because he's gonna have fame and fortune somewhere else down the road." Have you been finding that recently too, where you kind of have to like kind of comb through your friends list a little bit to be like, "All right, well, you're either hanging with me or you're not."
Me personally, I never will and never have deleted anyone off of my friends list unless they're like a troll or something. Um, I personally don't do it because I let anyone add me because I like to be on Blue when I DJ. So if you like my sets, then I'm on Blue and you can just join me whenever. So I personally don't delete anybody from my friends list, but I at least recently, I haven't really been getting on VRChat that much other than to DJ, and then I get off and go to bed or something. I've just been like so laser focused on making music, at least for now.
Okay. I mean, that's all of that is very important, especially moving forward. And for those people, again, while we collectively are in the scene and we get to experience this from time to time, I think we know as users what we need to do to kind of get by, whether or not we want to let go of some sort of a friendship or someone that we might have talked to is based on whatever you choose. But especially for the newer people in here and those new people coming into Pulse, you know, it might be super intimidating. I mean, a part of club etiquette, I'm really surprised that I haven't been a part of it yet, to the point where it's just like you get the same guy that comes to these raves and they're clicking on everybody's name and they're like, I'm gonna be friends with this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, or you're DJing and you click on the DJ and you're just like, I'm gonna send him a friend request and hopefully he accepts. And I'm, you know, as a DJ, you're like, we we haven't had time to talk yet. You wanted to be friends and then you bounce. All right, well, that's kind of cool. So adding into all of the club etiquette moving forward, it's good for those people that are watching, you know, on YouTube, or someone that is interested in coming into our scene to kind of get a better grasp of things and how we move forward with that. It's VRCDJ Live, and we're sitting here with Toxic and Oxide of Pulse, and we got a couple of more moments to kind of break a little bit more down on the idea of your collaboration efforts with Rave Factory and Contain collectively. And I want to be able to focus in on that because there are a lot of communities out there that have always been told that maybe you should collaborate, maybe you should talk to people. I know several months ago we were discussing the idea of over collaboration where the poster has like 12 logos on it.
Oh
and
my
it was
god.
just a mess of whatever. And like, that's a good idea that like you want to talk to people and be able to, you know, feed energies. And we kind of identified the idea that a collective family can, you know, you could choose which you know venue you want to go to and who you want to support, but you'll be able to support everybody in general. You guys have a very strong bond when it comes to creation like this. How important is it for someone that is starting off their club or group to start reaching out for further collaboration down the road?
Collaborating is definitely it's there, and it will help you out quite a bit. And it's what we used to do for a long time, was try and get as many collaborations in as we could to reach connections and stuff like that. But from what we noticed, it wasn't getting us like our own platform. We were sort of like running off of other groups and stuff like that, and it was sort of like a help for us. But once we started hosting solely, it was like we wasn't getting the same sort of interaction as we was collaborating. So if you like sort of build your own sort of, or like what would the word be, like platform, I guess. If you sort of built your own platform of a following or whatever, it's more likely gonna go more better for you than it would collaborating. Obviously, once you're up there and you've got that sort of following, you collaborate with homies, like I would with Rave Factory. There's the homies, the close homies, and a lot of it is like most of us host on the Fridays, and we'll all take turn on the Fridays. But if any of us do end up, clashing together one night, like me and Contain did, which was the lineup where we had Tupper and myself and Koro, we was like, okay, let's merge this, because we was running on the same day. So we merged and we had a good ass night, and that was it. We didn't really see it as like a collaboration. It was more of just like, let's pop up together and let's fucking go have fun, And that's what happened. We merged together, we went and had fun. That's what most of our stuff is now. We don't really see them as collaborations. We see them more as like, this homie's gonna have fun. And that's how I like to see them myself, is like, we're gonna go out and we're gonna go have fun together.
Do you think that there'll ever be a moment of experimentation of who out of the three could succeed more? I mean, I understand that with Plur and how everybody's having a good time collectively, that's all that should matter. But in the particular case of added growth, not even just within a specific genre, we could add that a part of it too. But I feel like within networking and collaboration does help kind of push an idea of which direction one of those things is bound to go, regardless if you guys are all working together.
It'd be cool to see like one night, but I definitely think this triangle of people, they all have the same people in them. If you ever go to Contain or Rave Factory or Pulse, you never enough see the same people for all three groups. So that's definitely a tough question, and how that would be.
And how like that would end up becoming the kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'd be tough because it's majority of it is you see the same sort of community members and stuff like that. You see the new people that would come in here and there, but I definitely see a lot of familiar faces and stuff like that, which is really cool to see. You get all the homies having fun and stuff like that. So it's usually the same people throughout the whole triangle.
I think it's still relatively nice that right now we're at a point in time of, again, we're just in it for the music. We're in it for good vibes. We're in for good family and good attention. And again, that little spark can also ignite a passion for a lot of regular rave goers to want to either start their own community or start, look at the festival lineups nowadays. Slyfest is coming back, Gathering is coming back, Four Seasons has their regular events kind of happening in Amsterdam and stuff like that. I don't know where Costa del Fishbowl's been, but Fishbowl's been kind of doing whatever. But collectively, again, you'll get to a point where everybody's going to want to test everything. A lot of people want to begin a DJ and they want to do their own thing. Maybe they want to change up how they DJ. And I know, like we were saying earlier on, being able to mix up those genres a little bit and make them a little bit more fluffed up when it comes to, like, we'll have a Latin night, or we'll have a hip hop night, or we'll feature, like, I think occasionally we put together a country set. It's very rare to have people come in and DJ country music, or EDM is what they would be calling it. But being able to do that would be great. But you also don't want to. Yeah, I know it's hard.
Oh, that one got me. That was a
dude.
Good
That's
one.
a hard.
I like that one.
Have you not? That's the technical term. It's called EDM.
Really?
It's like
I
yeehaw,
chuckled. I
but
chuckled.
yeah,
That's funny.
it's like the new technical term. It's kind of like this is a technical term too that I learned last year. When you're at an event and you're doing something like this is called the frat boy flick. When you're doing stuff that like that, yeah, that's the frat. It's called the frat boy flick, and I didn't know there was an actual term for it until recently, and I'm just like, no, it's ruined for me now. But yeah, that's.
I didn't even know there was a term for that. Thanks, Rob. You just kind of ruined it for me there.
How else would you know? How else do you think frat bros are communicating with each other besides going bro? They're kind of doing that, but yeah, and being able to understand that space. But again, it's one of those kids get off my yard moment when you're like, I can't believe this is succeeding more than what we've been putting passion to. Luckily for the collective of Contain and Rave Factory and Pulse, you can experiment on which direction that could go, but everybody would kind of, we're going to take the town and put it over here, and continue that journey of an understanding. Speaking of understanding, without ruining a lot of anything and whatever's in your mind, where do you see the future of Pulse this year? What are we expecting to see of Pulse in 2026?
There's definitely a lot more coming. I think this is the year where we go crazy. Definitely push out some big events and stuff like that, which we've definitely got some big events coming up and stuff like that. And we're going to be introducing sort of like new spaces in our map and stuff like that for different genres of music, and we're going to be releasing them one by one. As I start to learn more in Unity, and Blender and stuff like that, I'm able to put them into the maps and test them out, which is sort of what we wanted to do for the new rooms, was test out different things, like say like screen shaders or lighting or like cool little effects and stuff like that. It'd definitely be something that we want to experiment with and use different rooms to cater to different genres of music and try those effects out, which is we're definitely cooking with some big lineups that are coming up in the future, which is going to be really fun. I'm very excited for the future.
Yeah, I've got to say, between the three of you guys, like your shader effects and your screen effects are next level when it comes to understanding how to party in here, even compared to just going out for a night on the town or something downtown. People IRL will never be able to experience anything so cool as what the three of you have been kind of cooking up. Speaking about cooking, obviously Oxide, you've been working on a new album. Where do we see you headed in 2026? What are your hopes and dreams of music production?
Oh man, new album coming. It's my first ever album. Pretty soon to be doing it in my career, but I wanted to just go for it and try it. I'm super, super excited and happy with how it's turning out. It's going to be pretty much a D&B album, but it's going to be combined with pop punk. So it's going to be a lot of guitars, a lot of singing from me and other vocals. And it may or may not be included in the next Cyberpunk game. We shall see.
Hey, yo.
I'm still in talks with that, but I gotta finish the damn thing first. So definitely trying to finish that. And then I'm trying to bring back my group Trench. Because like I said, I've just been so focused on music, I haven't had time to host events on VRChat. So I definitely want to get Trench back up and going too.
Dude, let you be the launching pad for a lot of the producers in VRChat that are looking to kind of shake the bag up and make some moves. Because, like, I think a lot of people are still plenty hesitant to sit down and send those emails and say, hey, I produce this, I make this, I think you would like this because 1, 2, and 3. And at the end of the day, if you don't hear a response, or if you get a denied response, that is another direction towards motivation. I think a lot of people just don't take that initiative. So I hope that you do that. I hope you get the success that you're looking for, and especially being able to motivate the people in here to continue to push the boundaries when it comes to that sort of a creation. So hearing that is super awesome to hear. It's VRCDJ Live. We got a few more minutes here with Pulse. And it's that time of the night where we ask you guys some rapid fire questions. And again, if you've watched the show, you kind of have a better understanding of what we're going to be asking tonight. But sometimes we ask all sorts of random stuff. So that's totally up to what I want to ask. Haha. No, I'm kidding. Out of everything that we've kind of discussed tonight about like creating clubs and finding collaborations and even like world creation or even music creation, what's a good sound piece of advice for someone that was interested in either wanting to join Pulse or wanting to create their own music or get a little bit more involved in our scene? What's a good word of advice? We'll start with Toxic over here.
My personal advice is just keep pushing yourself out there, because that's definitely what I did. I was definitely just endlessly like DMing people, trying to get myself out there, trying to get my name known. And that's definitely sort of what you gotta do here to get yourself noticed, is like put your name out there, just check it out, you know. That's what you gotta do. You're just gonna throw it and something will happen at some point.
I feel like we already kind of just answered from our recent conversation about being able to push your limits, but what would you have to include with that?
In regards to music production, find your sound. Like that is the most important thing that you can do as a producer, is finding your sound. If you're serious about it, music production in general is going to take you a few years. Maybe you get lucky and you find it, and you know yourself well enough and you find it in like a few years, but it's a very, very long journey, and you have to be 100% passionate about it. Like, even nowadays, you have to wear so many hats when you make music. You gotta promote your music on social media, you gotta market yourself, you gotta put yourself out there, and it's not just like, "Oh, I'm finished with the song, just upload it and just leave it there." You gotta do so much more. So learning what your sound is and being able to market yourself is so important. Like, I recently just found my sound, which is why I'm making this album to begin with, and it's a sound that no other D&B artist or artist in general is doing right now. So I think that once you find that in yourself, you're going to be so confident in your music, and you're going to be so much more willing to put it out there.
I think the same thing kind of goes with DJing and understanding the genre that you perform. It's never just a matter of being a popularity contest when you're, oh, if someone's playing drum and bass, then you have to. No, 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 no. You go and you enjoy the music
Oh
that you
yeah,
do,
yeah.
and you will find the fans to come and listen to you and what you're passionate about, and then they will also in turn bring more fans down the way. Speaking about fans and speaking about music, who are a couple of people that you constantly are playing on your Spotify or even SoundCloud, and who are some new people that you're listening to?
Oh wow, okay. New people? That's like such a hard question, because I listen to so much stuff. It's like most of the time when I'm listening to music, I'm just finding new shit to mix. I don't really have any main artists, to be fair. Like on SoundCloud, at least, anyway. I don't really have any main ones.
I mean, you don't have any new ones that
Just-
you're
I just
listening
scroll
to
in.
right now? Or?
No, not really. I usually just click shuffle, see what plays, and then if I like it, I'll give it a save, you know?
That's pretty fair. What about you, Oxide?
I listen to a lot of underground stuff on SoundCloud, especially when I'm trying to build new sets. A thing with me is I try to um, DJ as many genres as I can. So, like recently, I discovered a genre called Angel Core, and I think it's such an amazing genre, and I'm so happy that I like take the time to discover other genres within EDM, because I feel like that grows your knowledge as a DJ as well as a producer. Just going out there and discovering new things. Some of my favorites in general are Night Punk and Imanu. Hopefully, about to play with a show at IRL with Night Punk next month. So fingers crossed on that one.
Nice. I know the inevitable question that a lot of people hate to answer, but we throw it in there anyway. Who are your top 3 VRChat DJs to watch?
Oh, okay. Personally, I enjoy Murdoch's by far. Murdoch's is fucking goated. I love Murdoch's. Um, Definitely Dougie's like my main inspiration for my sets. Um, uh, who else? There's so many. Like the top three is Murdoch's, Dougie, and probably Oxide. I've actually been listening to a lot of Oxide sets recently, but there's so many more I could think of. It's like the top three that come to my mind straight away.
I mean, it's super helpful that he's sitting right next to you.
Yeah, that's what came to my mind straight away. He's just there.
Now I'm just saying that you have to say Toxic now as your top three, right? Is that how it works?
Heck yeah, Toxictrate. I really like listening to Dougie. I haven't heard Dougie that many times, but the few times I have, like especially when he digs into like his older sets, like his breaks and all the other stuff that he DJs, I love it so much when he does that. Let's see, Dokes is a good one. I'm not the biggest fan of Jump Up. I know that's controversial, but I don't know if I can put Dokes as my top three. Like skill wise, he's definitely top three, but like I don't listen to Jump Up that much. My last one would probably be I was just thinking of one. This may be a little controversial, but when Six was around, I really enjoyed their DJing. When I first got onto VRChat, Closet and Six was like the big thing. So I was in there a lot and I was watching him play a lot, and I really enjoyed his sets.
Yeah, it's always very good. I mean, history happens and things happen.
Yeah.
And we can choose to enjoy who we like, and be confident with who you like, you know. And it's funny how we've had these conversations with Tupper, because like everyone's just like, oh, Tupper really likes Shelter, or Tupper's always at Shelter, and I'm like, he can like what he likes, you know, like let him do that, you know, like you know, especially even the DJing, like let him DJ where he wants. I don't know, like it's nice to have passions. We can't just expect him to be a robot the entire time. So I mean that's perfectly valid. So that's really good to see. Before we get on out of here, where do we find you guys and Pulse on the internet?
Hi, on Blue Sky, we're pulsevr.live, Twitter, pulsevrc, and then mine is just Toxictrate. That's all my socials. That's where you can find me.
For me, I don't even know like my exact URL, but if you search Oxide on anything, you'll probably find it. I'm just a green girl on a profile picture, so you'll probably find it somewhere. Oh, but Instagram at least is oxide.dmb.
It's always a good place to start with Instagram too. I've been seeing that a lot of the music industry has been feeding into Instagram, and not saying that I'm heading down to the Winter Music Conference in 2 weeks, but man, oh man, we're going to be hearing a lot more updates on how they're trying to pick who they want for the future and stuff. And I already know that the Instagram is the place to be. So really good talks with all about that. But guys, thank you for coming out. Toxic and Oxide, both from Pulse. And thank you guys for being on the show. And we look forward to what you guys got cooking next year, or this year, or not even 2027, 2026. So glad to have you.
Thanks for having us.
So thank you guys for coming on the show. And that's going to do it for us for this episode of VRC DJ Live. Of course, we're live here every Thursday, and the time does kind of change depending on who we have. Next week on the show, we're going to be joined by Copper T Fox, who is still kind of relatively new in the scene, loves to play some house and disco, but able to be able to break down his journey of how he's starting to kind of make waves and make moves here in the VRChat rave scene. So make sure you're here for that. Starts at 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast. A little bit different than our just normal top of the hour show. If you're looking for all sorts of different things when it comes to our show, well, we've got it for you up on Linktree, our Linktree at VRCDJLIVE. You'll find everything from highlights to full episodes up on our YouTube, our full lineup of who our guests are going to be up on X and Blue Sky, as well as highlights and much more coming to the Instagram at VRCDJLIVE. Up on our link tree as well, you can find the links that if you're a DJ or a member of our community or even own a club just like Pulse, you want to be on the show, you can fill out the form, let us know, and then we can, have you on the show. We'll talk about our community and how we continue to grow that. Of course, that starts with you, and if you want to be on the show, come show us that you want to be on the show. As far as our lineup coming up for April, it's going to be stacked. Of course, there's 5 whole Thursdays in April. It is going to be nuts. And so I will say, if you would like to know a little bit in advance of who's going to be on for April, make sure you're following us on X and Blue Sky. So with all of that being said, for Toxic and Oxide of Pulse, and for the VRC DJ Live staff behind the glass, I'm Rob Roman. Thank you guys for coming by, and we will see you next time.